Man, I'm at the point where I'm just like sitting back and like just watching this crap go down, and like my own thinking is just that like I may have like thought about doing bad things to people but never actually did do bad things to people. And it's just it's funny,
This
watching this
episode,
shit go down, and to me, and seeing these things happen while everybody's like acting like super concerned that like I'm like the next fucking Elliot Rogers. Like, nah, no thanks. Especially since I do realize my partner loves me. I don't want to throw that shit away on getting caught up in violence. And the truth of the matter is that I may be confident in other areas, but I don't really have confidence about my ability to get away with actual violence because of the advanced. Well, I mean, I could dream up a scenario to actually do it. I'm intelligent enough to dream it up. It's just that anything that I dream up, like the likelihood of actually connecting all and getting access to all of the parts that you'd need to actually get away with it is highly impractical, because you'd need to be in something like a plastic spacesuit, or like and all that, and like have starved pigs, and like a whole bunch of like on and on and on and on and on about that sort of thing. And you, you know because of that, and because of like the impracticality of that, you'd also have to have access to somebody that had a forge to melt the weapon down and destroy it. And like connecting all those dots in one person is going to be somebody that's like a Superman type person. And I'm sorry, but I'm mere mortal, so my perfect scenario to get away with murder, yeah. You just can't actually do it. So you're safe from me, in particular because I don't feel like my life is worth throwing away for my romantic partner, and I don't want to fucking put her through it. And that may, in your mind, be a bad reason not to, and not like the right reason to not do it. But I did also want to caveat that by saying if we broke up, I'd still have hope of finding another partner anyways. So, and aside from that, like I succeed in other areas for the sake of spite, to rub it into the people that don't like me. So nobody's ever really going to be in danger of my throwing my life away, and being willing to go to jail just to get revenge on them for my being upset with them. I don't like them, but you know the truth of the matter is that I'm never actually going to fucking hurt them. So relax, relax. you know but I see this, and I see this shit go on. And like, so what I'm reacting to is right-wing terrorists caught after attempting to firebomb a business that hosted that drag event. And from TYT, which I have no problem linking in the underbar here, but my own thinking and watching this is that the internet is full of loud, argumentative assholes that come on here to debate people because and scream at people online because they don't get away with it in the real world. I mean, somebody will kick the crap out of you if you do that to them, potentially, and actually engage in violence. Although not me, but you can't. You scream at somebody in real life, and you do run a much greater risk of consequences befalling you. And you scream at somebody away from keyboard, I should say. Sorry, this is unconscious. You scream at somebody away from your computer, and you're more likely to to actually get hurt by somebody. And so they go online to leave their little their opinions on things. And I'm not saying that fear is the I guess you could say that I'm not saying that they're wrong or bad or incorrect, or that there's something to make fun of them or judge them for being afraid to go and scream at people in person, because that's actually a kind of a rational thing to do. Obviously, I mean, being afraid makes sense, but especially when there are a bunch of people that are bigger than you and can do terrible things to you for shit talking them, that you'd come online to trash talk them. I mean, I don't see what's wrong with that, because at least in this realm you can largely be honest about the way that you really feel. But in real life it can be much harder because people can really really hurt you just for expressing your honesty. But I do see this, and people can be very argumentative online, but it's just got me thinking, like, for all the fear and contempt that's like hurled in my direction and everything, and the arguments, you know a pattern has kind of emerged, in the last, like, over the last 20, 30 years of terrorism and violence that comes from arguably both sides of the aisle, politically speaking. I'm not in denial of the fact that the left engages in violence too, but for the most part, and really within the left, violence against people is a lot more so shall we say, like, they do this, and they point this out, and they make their rage arguments against you, which just don't actually make any sense, really. Because they'll argue that the left and the right are like, that there's some kind of mutual, like, equivalence between left wing violence and right wing violence, and there just isn't. I mean, there's a false equivalence that's going on, and that you can be. You're so argumentative, but you can prattle all you want about left wing violence, but the left smashes windows and damages property, but only one side of the aisle actually kills people, and that's the right wing. Like, I think that every drop of blood that the right wing spills is worth infinitely more than the money that the left could cause. They could cause the businesses of the windows that they smashed. People's lives matter a lot more than their property. Pretty much infinitely more. And yet, you have the right wing basically hating somebody just because of the fact that they didn't conform to their expectations of masculinity. Like, okay, oh, cool. So you pretend to believe in freedom, but you don't believe in people's right to express their, sexuality and gender however it is they fucking want. You want to kill people over it? I don't really think that, is a. I don't understand how that represents freedom. To be really honest with you, and it seems to me that it's really really only the right wing over the past, like, 30 years that has a body count on their hands. And by body count, I'm not referring to the number of people that you've slept with. I'm talking about the number of people that you've actually killed. I think that, like, the last time that I can really point to where there was a left winger that actually hurt somebody, it was unintentional. The Brinks, not even just the Brinks armored car, but the Weather Underground was the last time that people got mixed up in left wing fire bombings. And of the Weather Underground bombing, like, it's gone down on the record by the killer themselves that they thought the building was basically empty. And hey, like, they were immensely remorseful when they realized that it hadn't actually been empty, that somebody had been inside and had been, participating in certain events, and they came around to condemning their own crime and feeling responsible, and like they belonged in prison for what they did, and that what they did they should not have done. They would not have done it if they knew what they know now, behavior wise, with the Weather Underground. They really ultimately have apologized and for what they did. And I'm not saying that we should forgive them just because of the fact that they said that they were sorry, but the truth of what I'm trying to argue at the ultimate level is that it's been a long time since the left actually hurt somebody and killed somebody or killed anybody. So this idea that there's some sort of moral equivalence between left wing violence and right wing violence just kind of falls apart when you realize that. Like, the left might get upset enough to smash your property, but it does it to create a financial incentive, since it seems that very often that's what people care about more than they care about actual people, and so they smash your shit as a way of saying you should care more about people than about property. I mean that's really what the message of the damage to property is really trying to say from the left side of the aisle. And the right just outright kills people because people like over dumb stupid shit. I mean, like what I mean here in such a huge way is like imagine wanting to actually kill people because of the fact that they dressed in drag, or an event hosted, people drag queens at their event. I mean, like who the fuck cares? Why can't you just let people live their fucking lives, and be happy and do their thing? Like mind your own fucking business, right wing assholes. But no, I mean it's like, you have to be free, but you have to be free in only the way that they want you to be free. Like this is bullshit, and these guys do this all the fucking time, and then people come up here on the internet and get into these loud debates with me, and they're all like, yeah, well, here's a clip of some left winger trying to throw a Motivell cocktail at something and set it on fire. It's like, yeah, I'm not in denial of the fact that there's been left wing violence, okay, but I'm trying to say that like left wing violence is not like right wing violence, and it's fundamentally unfair to compare it because, like I said, the left smashes windows and damages property, and while I'll condemn that behavior, I will not pretend that it deserves to be equally condemned to the behavior of actually hurting somebody. That's a lot worse. So both sides of the aisle are committing crimes and creating moral offenses against decency and doing the right thing, but one side is committing a far more grave offense against moral decency, and that's the right wing.